is better, to own or to rent?
The feeling of owning a house is different. That can't be valued in.
If I'll take a home loan, I will get better tax.
Nah. That's a myth. So tax benefit is a myth. If you invest a crore rupee in mutual fund, even at 10%, you'll make 10 lakh rupee return. By the time we turn 40, 45, we are like done with this corporate work. You purchasing a house is for your mental sense.
Hello and welcome to Indian Money's Freedom App's YouTube channel. I'm your host Sudheer Sharma. I am a working woman and I'm staying on rent from last 14 years. Despite of having an ancestral house in Delhi, I have stayed on rent all over India. Now today I have a question. What is better? To rent a house or to own a house? Now, whom should we ask about this? Well, who other than the CEO and founder of Indian Money, Mr. C.S. Sudheer, who is with us. Hello, sir. So, every time I pay my rent every month, this question arises in my mind. Should I have bought a house and paid EMI instead? What is better, to own or to rent?
Depends actually. But see, the feeling of owning a house is different. That can't be valued in money. Right? Many people have this feeling like, my own house. For example, let's say now you rent a house. Can you do the interiors the way you want?
No.
Can you make the alterations the way you want? You can't do it. So there are different feelings and all that. But then there are people who consider a house as an investment.
As an investment.
Which is not always right. I'll tell you why. So think about it in this way. Now, assume you're paying 25,000 monthly rent, okay?
Yes.
And if you think, oh, I'm paying 25,000 rental, let me pay 50,000 rupee EMI and buy my own house.
Yes.
A calculation I've got, if you're paying 25,000 rupee monthly rental, instead if you're paying 50,000 rupee, tax benefit actually is a big myth. You are not going to get any extra tax benefit. I'll tell you why. Because this 25,000 into 12, that is about 3 lakh rupee, you can anyway claim from HRA.
Yes.
Right? So this extra tax benefit, what do you get? ATC 1.5 lakh or whatever, and then 2 lakh rupee under section 24 for interest payment. Which means there is no extra tax benefit at all. So tax benefit is a myth.
Many people think that if I'll take a home loan, I will get better tax benefit.
Nah. That's a myth. So I don't want you to buy a house just because you're going to save more tax. That's a myth. Don't believe it. Let's take the second one. People think that it's an investment. What's going to give me value? I'll tell you the problem here. 25,000 is the rent you're paying. If you're purchasing a house, like a 25,000 rupee rent means the value of the house will be at least 1 crore rupee in Bangalore kind of thing.
Yes.
If the house is getting 25,000 monthly rent, which means the value of the house is at least 1 crore rupee. A crore rupee house, even if you assume 8% interest, the current rate, 8% interest if you consider, annual interest rate is how much time? 8 lakh.
Yes.
Agreed? If you invest 1 crore rupee in mutual fund, even at 10%, you'll make 10 lakh rupee returns.
Correct.
25,000 into 12 is how much? 3 lakh rupees.
3 lakhs.
Which means the rent you're paying is only 3 lakh. The interest you pay on the loan you take is going to be about 8 lakh. Which means you're paying 5 lakh rupee more interest from your pocket.
For the home.
Yeah, you'll say, how can you connect it? Because it's an investment. I'll have the house with me. Correct, madam. How much are you paying extra per year? 5 lakh?
5 lakhs, yeah.
Correct? Now 5 lakh rupee if you invest every year in a mutual fund for the next 20 years. Just imagine how much money you will have at the end of
20 years.
See, the point here is, now you think about this 1 crore rupees. This 1 crore rupee house at the end of 20th year, if it is an apartment, may not even go for 2 crore rupees.
Yes.
It may not even double. Because the concrete value anyway will depreciate. The only value is that undivided share, and most of the builders fool you with that as well because they don't give you good amount of undivided share. Actually, the undivided share should be at least 40% of the super built up area. which means if you're purchasing a flat with 1000 square feet, you must get 400 square feet of undivided share. Many builders don't even give you that. They give you for 1000 square feet maybe about 250 square feet, which is bad because they build without anything. Right? So, and the resale also is very difficult. Like a flat bought by paying about 85 lakh 6 years back, today people are struggling to sell it for even 95 lakh after 6 years.
After 6 years.
Yes. Because what's happening, the new layouts, new properties are coming up. The new projects are there and they are almost selling for the same rate or slightly higher than that. Why should I go for your old flat? Let me go for a brand. Because the amenities are new, the materials are different, all that. So resale becomes a challenge. So just to conclude on this part, is it an investment? I won't buy that argument at all. So if anybody says that residential property is going to be a bigger investment in the future, so because of that I do that, I won't agree with that. In fact, a better investment option is you pay rent and the extra money which you would have otherwise paid in interest, that you save every month. Every year you invest. Put it in a mutual fund. That will give you far better returns.
Now my next question to you is, does that mean that now I should not buy a house of my own?
No, I mean, I'll tell you, see, for example, I decided I won't be shifting my base for job anywhere. My office is very close to my house. I know that, okay, this is going to be my area where I'll have my office in the nearby areas because I decided that. So I bought a house 6 years back. I'm living there with my family. So I don't change my location. But what if you would have bought a house in Mumbai? You would have missed this opportunity to join Indian Money.
Yes.
Because you're like, I have a own house in Mumbai, so why should I shift? So if you are in job, you're a professional, you should be like, shifting base quite often. Even within Bangalore, I'll tell you. Let's say you buy a property in Mysore, somewhere in RR Nagar, and you are working from there. You have your office, where you work currently is close to that place. Suddenly you got a wonderful opportunity with 100% salary, and the job is in Whitefield.
Yes.
Which is not even Bangalore, I mean other side of Bangalore. Now, can you travel from RR Nagar to Whitefield every day?
3 hours every day.
Impossible. Now, if you have to shift, again you have to go on a rented house.
Yes.
You can't sell this and again buy something new there. That will take more time, you may lose money in the transaction, right? Instead of that, if you're in a rented house, it's quite easy. So when should you go for a own house? You've decided, going forward, I won't be transferred, and I won't be in a transferable job.
Correct.
I'll be permanent in one place.
Maybe if I've opened a business of my own or...
Otherwise, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of people, they made this mistake. They bought a property in RR Nagar. They admitted a son or daughter to school in the same vicinity. The wife has made some good friends in the same apartment society or the complex. Now this guy has got a new job, which is in Whitefield. Now he can't ask his wife to shift. He can't ask his kids to change the school. And every morning, he'll wake up at 6 o'clock, 7, he'll start from home at 6 o'clock. He'll reach office at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. His life is gone completely. Don't make that mistake.
I can tell you so many people who buy a house in Virar. It's the nearby area in Mumbai. It's on the outskirts. And every day they travel from Virar to the inside areas of Mumbai for 1.5 hours, one side in local train.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a disaster. You'll kill yourself every day. Don't do that. So my point is, I agree with you that you need a home. You want to live in your dream home. But I think today, because of the studio apartments, fully furnished, you get very good places at dirt cheap rates, for rental. So you can stay there. When you decide that, okay, now onwards, I will be permanent buyer. Otherwise, no. And please understand, you purchasing a house is for your mental satisfaction. Your feeling, I'm living in my own house, not an investment. If you really want to make residential investments, thinking like, okay, I want to make investments. I have a simple technique. Probably I can explain this in a different video in detail. But just to give you a clue, the best thing to do is buy an old house.
Old house.
Independent house, not an apartment. 30-year-old, 40-year-old house. 25-year-old house with a good site, a plot of area. So you pay only for the plot. You don't pay for the concrete.
Okay, how is that?
Which means a 30-year-old house, if I'm purchasing, I will obviously tell the seller that don't consider any value for the house because it's already old. Consider the value only for the site.
For the land.
Plot. The land value, whatever it is, I'll pay. Now I get the house free with me. Now I'll rent it out to anybody for whatever the rate I get so that the property is safe. Now the appreciation will happen there. You want to make investments like this. Or you buy a land, a plot of site, a plot in a gated community. But the problem with gated communities is these developers who sell plots in a gated community, they inflate the rate and sell it. Which means you buy a plot by paying, let's say, 50 lakh rupee today. Next 3 years, sometimes next 5 years, you can't sell it back to somebody for more than 50 lakh. Which means you got fooled because they inflate the rate and sell it to you. They have an army of salespeople, they can sell it. You can't sell it back to somebody.
Okay, so one last question. This is my question, but I'm sure a lot of viewers would have this on their mind. So like my parents, they belong to Himachal. And in Himachal, as you would know, no outsider can buy a property or a house. But because my mother is Himachali, we can buy. So do you think it is a good option to invest in a land in your village or hometown? Looking at the scenario these days, when pandemic happened, people just, started vacations. Working from anywhere, kind of a culture, and so many of the ancestral homes were rented out. So do you think it's a good idea to buy because the land and the property is cheaper?
I think the work from home culture has created that opportunity now. If you're from some tier 2, tier 3 town where the property rates are also less, it makes sense to buy your house or build your house there and stay there and work from there. Other reason is because of the mechanical nature of our work now. By the time we turn 40, 45, we are like done with this corporate work.
Yes.
We just want to have a retired life. There are other sources of income. For that, if you can buy some farmhouse, start some small farming, holiday home, and live your life peacefully there post-retirement. That's again a very good idea. I'll tell you, if you ask me which is the best investment, so there are 5 kinds of real estate properties you can buy. I'll make a separate video on this, but I think here I'll give a clue now. There are 5 things you can buy. You can buy an apartment, first option. Independent house. A residential plot. Commercial building. 5th option is agriculture land or a farmland. Correct? Among the 5, which is the best investment among the 5 is farmland. I'll explain in detail in the next video.
In the next video. Okay. Thank you so much. I think my biggest question is answered today: to rent or to own a house.
So you're going to rent it now?
Yes, rent it, and also because of this video, I think a lot of viewers will get the answer to this question. For example, my cousins, my sisters, they keep on asking me the same question. So now I'm going to forward this video to them. Thank you so much for all these insights. Well, by now you know whether to rent a house or to own a house. We are going to come up with another video where Mr. C.S. Sudheer is going to tell us which is the best kind of real estate investment you can do. So if you have liked this particular video, like the video, share it with your friends and family, and do subscribe to our channel. That's very important because in future we are going to come up with a lot more videos. If you want to download the Freedom app, you have to click on the link in the description. On Freedom app, you will find a lot of courses on real estate. It will increase your knowledge. It will help you make better financial decisions. So just download the Freedom app. We have around 750 courses in 6 languages there. It's going to help you a lot. On that note, I hope that you make better decisions in life related to real estate. Now, this is your host Sugandh Sharma signing off.